Hey everyone, I hope you're all good. My name's Fabian, it's Empire Build Academy, and ironically, on a day when Evony is not working, for whatever reason that is, I'm doing a video, I'm doing a blog post. Is Evony ruining your life? The biggest complaints players have. Let's get straight into it. So welcome back to the channel. I'm Fabian and we're going to be looking at Evony and the complaints that players do have. I am actually on the phone mobile version as well as the PC version, and for whatever reason it's not logging in this morning. It did log in when I first went into it and then it seemed to have some kind of issue, and then for the last 10 minutes or so I haven't been able to log into it. I did notice that there are a few updates. There's something about officer swap and also a new general, so so I'm sure there's some good things going on in the background, but for whatever reason at the moment it's not logging in, and let's keep our fingers crossed that that happens at some point today. But with this particular blog, is Evony ruining your life? The biggest complaints players have. I just wanted to touch on some of the things that people regularly have an issue with in the Evony world, in the Evony game. And there's a lot of common complaints that players have. And we'll start with the first one, which is the pay-to-win model, a barrier for free-to-play players. So you're always going to have issue with free-to-play and paying players, the pay-to-win. They call it pay to win, but is it really pay to win? At the end of the day, if you want to spend money on that, of course you want to get ahead. You do want to get ahead, and I do get that. But there is a big complaint from the free to play. There is a big complaint from the pay to win, and there's no common ground. And I've played a lot of these kind of games in the past. Lords Mobile, King of Avalon, Guns of Glory. I'm sure you've played some different games out there as well. And it is really, really hard to strike a balance between the two and trying to get a good balance that allows the free-to-play to play and the pay-to-win feeling like their money is worth something. It's actually doing something. And I think personally, Evony is one of the better games that has done that. And the reason I say that is because there are things that you can get if you're playing the long game on the Evony platform. I also think the fact that you can get involved in the rallies with the bigger players and get those monster rewards that you wouldn't be able to do on your own is also nice. And I do think if you're quite knowledgeable about the game, you can definitely have your fun, whether that's on server versus server, whether that's in Battlefield, whatever it may be. There's definitely options there. And I always use the argument on how many people continue to play 2, 3, 4 months after a kingdom has opened up. And I've played a lot of games in the past where after 3 or 4 months, those free-to-play players have left the game because the game is no longer any use of them, because they've just been left behind and forgotten about. In Evony, they've played 3 or 4 kingdoms properly, and those players are staying. Those players are still there. They feel like they're still part of the game, whether that's them searching for monsters, whether that's them grinding on the pyramid event, whether that's them getting involved in the monster rallies and getting some decent rewards, and even the games that go on. I use the fishing one as an example. I know a lot of people don't like that event, but if you're free to play and you grind on that event, you got an opportunity to finish in the top 50, top 100, wherever it may be. So I do understand where people are coming with this, and there was a Reddit thread in 2023 which highlighted an alliance with 11 billion power being matched against one with 74.9 billion power, illustrating the difference that the game can really have. And I've seen some big keeps on this. I talked about one in Battle of Chalons where we faced someone called Grandpa, and his buffs were insane and his castle looked amazing and he had T16 troops. But that doesn't stop me having my fun, and of course I have spent a little bit of money on the game myself, obviously not crazy money, but I can still have my fun. I don't need to be Grandpa to have that fun. And I do think with the pay-to-win model and the balance that they've got, do think it's pretty decent. Now, moving on to the second one, which is the poor customer support. And this is another one that's really, really tough. If you're running a game that has millions and millions of players with kingdoms opening up all the time, and I'm not pro Evony. It sounds like I'm pro Evony here. I'm not pro Evony. I just think, you imagine trying to run something like that has constant issues from millions of players daily. Customer support is going to be very difficult to manage. And I've had poor customer support from Evony in the past. I remember there was an issue with the pack, and I'd gone into there and I was talking about this, I was talking about that, and basically it was my own fault. I'll be honest. So it wasn't poor customer support. It was actually me not reading the event properly. So I'd bought a pack. I was expecting this. I was expecting that. It didn't happen, and then immediately I'm running to customer support and saying, "Look, this isn't fair. Fix this for me." And actually, that particular question I shared with them is still open. 8 months later, I think it is. But there are genuine issues with the customer support. I know there are people that are not getting what they need fixed as soon as possible. And I'm sure Evony themselves would like to be able to run this in a better way. But it is very, very, very difficult in being able to do that. It'd be interesting to know what kind of customer support you had. It'd also be good to know about the success stories where actually you turn around and say the customer support has been brilliant. I had an issue buying a pack and fixed it in hours, which I'm sure does happen as well. So yeah, interesting one. Very difficult to obviously manage. Maybe you've got suggestions on how you would do it if you was running it. It'd be interesting to know. Now moving on to the next one, and this one is a little bit of a problem, and it's unfair gameplay and bullying. Now, the unfair gameplay is where people are saying that people are getting attacked during truce agreement. They've put on their shield. The shield hasn't activated. Could be a player issue. Could be a bug in the game. But whatever reason, there's things gone on that shouldn't have gone on, and players are saying that that's unfair. But I want to touch on the bullying one, and the bullying one's an interesting one because I do think via World Chat, it's very easy to be a troll and talk horrible and disgusting stuff to other Alliance members. Now, there's a very quick fix, and it's quite simple. You block that person and ignore them. I say with any game, if you feed the fire's going to continue to burn and get bigger. Yeah, and what we need to be is water, and that block button is the water. Yeah, so you need to take it into your own hands and just block those people, because at the end of the day, if you've got a person that's saying horrible things in World Chat, but they're talking to themselves because everyone's blocked him or blocked her, then they can't do anything. They're all of a sudden talking to themselves with no response from anyone. And eventually, inevitably, they're going to give up and move away. So, yes, it would be nice if chat was filtered to get rid of these trolls, but because that block button is there and because it works very, very well, I do think that that's the best thing to do. There's actually a Trustpilot review from February this year, and it describes 16 months of harassment with no permanent action, leading to player loss, where people had gone, I've had enough of this. But as I said, you imagine if you had tens of thousands of people just opening up accounts over and over again just to annoy people. It becomes very, very difficult, and I think that's why the block button is the answer. Like I say, it's such a mass game with crazy amounts of players. The numbers are incredible. And it is very hard to manage something like that. And maybe there is something you can do, I don't know, with the app to filter these people out or ban them in a certain way. I don't know. But for me, the block button is the winner. That's what does it. If everyone uses that block button on a troll, the troll goes away. It goes away immediately for you, and it will go away over the long term when they realise they're talking to themselves. So that's my answer to that. Moving on to the next one, we're going on to technical issues. And that's ironic with the game crash this morning. Probably down to something they've updated and there's a little bug in the system that's gone on somewhere. I'd imagine that it will be fixed at some point. And in fact, if I go onto it now, let's go and have a look. And actually, I think we are back up and running. So let's just go back into that. So just having a look live now, the game is back up and running. So literally, that bug this morning that was ironically happened has lasted no longer than 20 minutes. And we're back in the game. Game is back up and running. We can find out about these new generals and stuff. So there's an officer general swap event going on. And then, of course, there's a new general called Roger II. And he looks like he is a workshop officer. So that will be something that I'm sure many people will be looking to get. Increases in rally siege machines attack and defense by 20%. Reduces enemy defending range troops and siege machines attack and HP against your rally by 20%. So a new general there, which I'm sure many people will be looking to get, but it's officer general. And there is also someone called James Cook, who looks like a range general with an attack of 50% and defense and HP of 40%. So a couple of generals out there. The game is back up and running. Technical issues I find that they're not that often. Maybe you have experienced something different to me, but I've been playing the game now solidly on server 1429 for around about 18 months, and I can't say I've really noticed anything that's got me annoyed. I played a game back in the day called Iron Throne, which became Rise of Firstborn, and when it became Rise of Firstborn, because it had been bought out by a company, the company who took over that game, the bugs and the issues you got with that were horrific, and certainly nothing like what we get with the Evony game. So, I'm trying to think, and genuinely, it was weird that this morning I couldn't get in for 10 minutes. I don't really come across it. I don't really come across many bugs at all. Like I say, I'm trying to think, and I genuinely can't. Like I say, if you know what these bugs are, or if you've experienced these bugs, let me know in the comments, because personally myself, never really experienced them. Okay, let's move on to the next one. This one, it really does get on people's nerves, and that is cheating and rule violations, which is undermining fair play. So the big one is people buying accounts and pack loading and using bots as well is another major concern. Now, personally myself, I know that Evony in the background are trying to do a little bit more work with the bots and also the pack loading. So getting away with buying packs at discounted prices in whatever way they are doing that and getting away with it. And it turned around and said there was a Reddit thread back in 2023 and it discussed pack loaders breaking game balance with cheaters retaining levels and gear despite reductions and nothing being done, very little in the way of any kind of punishment, minimal punishment. And there's a general consensus that if you are big and you're paying lots of money to the game, you're getting away with quite a lot in cheating and rule violations. I haven't experienced it on 1429. I have regularly, daily, people offering packs, so I know that's something that goes on. I've never bought the packs off these people, so I don't know if you actually do get away with it. But the fact that it's a common complaint tells me that people do. And I would hope going forward that these reports, this is probably one of those where I'd say, no, actually, I'm on the side of the player here, because it's not nice when people are cheating. It's not nice when people are getting ahead. And it's not nice when you're putting in the grind, whether you're free to play or pay to win, and other people are getting ahead of you via these methods. I go back to the game that I played before, Iron Throne. There was a bug on there which allowed people to, if you was on for this 2-hour period, there was a 2-hour window, and if you was on for that 2-hour window, you got ridiculous amounts of rewards. You got resources, you got weapon materials, you got all these different items, and it was so unbalanced that it was actually scary. It was when the new people took over the game. Nothing was ever done. And I don't know what they've done since, because I've since left the game. But at the time, it left the game so unbalanced in terms of who was big and who was small. It got to the stage where it was really, really poor. I haven't experienced anything like that on Evony, but it exists, and we need to do something to stop that happening. Bots, the being able to scout and find things really nice and quick. At the end of the day, this game should be the same for everyone. And if you are able to go and buy, and I'm not going to mention any of the apps out there, but I'm sure you know which ones I'm talking about. But if you can go out and buy something that allows you to find things on the map quicker, then that is not fair for the rest of the kingdom, because you're going and finding all the Arch Barbarians first. You're going and finding all the level 6 big boss monsters and the pans, and it's not fair. It's genuinely not fair. Same with the pyramids. Again, you can go and find all the pyramids straight away, but that makes it really unfair, especially for the smaller players, the free-to-play players, because how can you keep up with that? The only way you can keep up with that is buying that same scouting app yourself. That's the only way you can do it. The only way and probably that's what they're playing on is knowing that many people will have to buy it if other people do buy it. So that's something that I definitely think should change, and hopefully in the future they will be able to do something about it. The next one is the classic, and this is a pet peeve of mine, to be honest, because all games do it. All games do it, including Evony. Evony is no different in that deceptive marketing, the fake advert, showing you something that has nothing to do with the game in the long term. But they'll turn around and say, and they always have that classic person on there going, "Oh my God, look at this! I can't get the weapon. Let's get this weapon." And they're all doing all that kind of stuff, making you believe that that's the game you're going to play. And they even say in those adverts, "This is not fake. This is the actual game that you can play." And they get on my nerves. It gets on my nerves with Evony. I don't like it. It is deceptive, and it's not what you're playing. Something needs to be done from a bigger level, whether that's from Google Play. And yes, I agree that it shouldn't happen. That you're going onto these games, you think you're going to be playing a game that's going to play in a certain way. You realise very, very quickly, normally within a few hours, that there is more and more to do, and then it sucks you in, doesn't it? It sucks you in because before you know, you're suddenly building castles and you're building walls and you're building troops, and you was like, hang on a minute, this isn't the game I was supposed to be playing, but it sucks you in a way. I don't think that's how I got sucked in. Many years ago, I played Final Fantasy back in the day. The adverts weren't similar to the way they are today. They're definitely worse today in how they try to deceive you into the game. But I don't think any of them should do it. I don't think, there's so many different games that all do it. They all use the same kind of deceptive ad to try and bring you in. I don't like it. I think it should be stopped. And I think there should be something in place to punish companies that use that deceptive marketing method. So that's my view on that. We have one more to look at today before we jump over to some Reddit comments, because I know there was some people not very happy in regards to this particular blog, and that is the high investment, little return. And I understand where people are coming from. I'll talk about it from my own perspective, my own point of view. I spent a little bit of money, and one thing that I've never ended up with on the game of Evony, for whatever reason, whether that's me purchasing bad packs or purchasing a bad combination of packs that doesn't allow me to get a particular castle skin. If I'd have done things different and I'd been starting all over again, I would have had a brand new, shiny, beautiful castle skin. But that's a me problem, not an Evony problem. That's a me problem for not understanding what I was doing. I do wish there was perhaps some better tier rewards. I think there are games out there that offer better tier rewards. So if you spend X amount of money, you get this reward. If you then reach the next level, you get better and better returns. And I do think the tier rewards on Evony are very small and not worth it. There will be people out there saying, well, you're getting so much, why do you want more? Valid argument. I absolutely get that. But for me, I would have liked something to show for my money a little bit more than I have. And a shiny castle skin, this is just jealousy from me, to be honest. I just want a nice shiny castle skin, so I think Evony should give me one. So I'm going to get in touch with that and talk to them about this video and try and plead with them. But no, I do get it. Like I say, you're putting all the money in, you're putting in the investment, and that's a key there. High investment, little return. It's not just the payers, it's the grinders, the people who are not spending, but they are spending in time. They're spending so much of their time trying to get ahead in the game, and then they feel like that actually their investment, their time investment, hasn't been rewarded. And maybe there should be something done, or something can be created to reward those particular things. So that brings us to the end of the questions that I was tackling today. So let's now jump over to Reddit and have a look at some of the comments to this particular blog post on there. So there was my post yesterday on Reddit, and I was just asking people for their views, what they're having a problem with. The first one is, I'm botting like 23.5 hours a day and barely do anything manually. Botting is the only way to play this game and have a life. Fair play to you, Jim Trevor, with that response, and I'm sure that makes you very happy. May have been tongue-in-cheek, but if it makes you feel any better and you are doing that, then fair play. At the end of the day, I always do say as well, unless it costs mounds of money, we all have the same option to do the same things. Now, I'm not saying that's right with botting, because who has time to do all that in the day? And I've never done it, so I don't know how the process works. I don't know actually if it is beneficial. But it's not something that I will look into, and it's not something that I will do. So that's that. Moving on to the next one. If it makes you frustrated, better leave and play, which gives you joy and happiness. And that is actually something I've seen in the past, where people have turned around and said, look, this isn't Farmville. If you want to go and play Farmville, go and play it. If you want to go and play Candy Crush, go and play it. You don't get the same stress levels. You can come off the game once you've played a few levels, and that's what you can do. And I responded by saying, personally, I love the game, but I do see why there are a lot of people who are angry at the game for so many reasons. I personally think that this is one of the fairest games. That's my opinion. Maybe you played a different game that you think is better. Let me know, because I'd be interested to have a look at it. But like I say, I played quite a few of these games, and this is one of those where I've gone, actually, no. I feel like the smaller player, the bigger player, there is a balance that allows them all to have some fun, and that is shown with the amount of free-to-play. Ask yourself the question, how many free-to-play players are playing in your kingdom months after the kingdom has opened? And you'll find quite a few, because somehow Evony has managed to get that balance right with keeping that player. The next one is yes, and I keep on thinking I'm going to quit. It's like a literal addiction, and that is correct because I also feel that pain. But I put there, I'm pot committed, and I am. I'm not going to lie, I'm pot committed. I put so much into this particular game, this particular server, 1429, and also I built like that family feeling with the rest of the Alliance members. I like to see what's going on and seeing how people are. I'm never going to quit. It's as simple as that. I do all that on my own, thank you very much. Nice and simple. No, I don't try to win. Bro, I just made up my mind. I will cake one more time. I'm planning to do it after the release of version 5.0.0 because probably will come with massive updates and packs and deals. Very true. One of the things that I've done in the past, but in the 18 months, I've probably spent enough to get quite far on that cake level. I probably have. And if I'd have done it all in one go, which wouldn't have been possible because of the way the money comes in, but if I had, I'd probably have some really nice shiny rewards. I'd probably have some really nice Civ gear. That's what I reckon I'd have. So, yeah, tell me about your issues. Tell me about how much you've spent. Have you made it to that bottom level tier cake? Have you got a nice shiny castle which will make me jealous? I enjoy the battles, server versus server, and working playing with Alliance mates. At a point right before I got my wings, my Alliance mates put so much pressure on me to get my wings, I was about to quit. A week later, I got my wings, and it's all been good ever since. And I feel that. I feel that there is a lot of pressure for kingdoms to try and make sure that everyone gets their wings. But I think overall, it's done okay. And eventually, especially if you're in a nap kingdom and people are all reading from the same page, then I think we can all get our wings quite nicely. We've done it quite nice in 1429. I think we're at a stage now where no one needs the wings. So yeah, so you know, if you do that right and you do it in a way that you know all the kingdom is pulling together, then I think it's pretty cool. If a game that's supposed to be enjoyable is ruining your life, it's a you problem, correct? But that doesn't mean that you're not going to be feeling some disdain at certain things how they are run on the game. I still think that you know, if you're paying money, if you're investing time, you have a right to feel angry. I'm a big football fan, I'm a big Liverpool fan, and I invest a lot of my time and money watching Liverpool, and that doesn't mean that I can't be angry at how Liverpool are performing sometimes on the pitch, because that's just a natural human reaction. It's just a natural human reaction. We are going to be upset at certain things. I like to think I'm a little bit less than others in terms of my stress levels, but you are right. If the game is ruining your life, aggravating by 979 is right. It's a you problem and you need to come away. I tell you one that I do it with, and I cannot play this game without getting stressed. And when I say stress, I mean it brings out a different side of me, and that's FIFA. And I'm okay, but I'm certainly not brilliant. And I play people online there, I'm going, oh my God, and the anger that comes out of me is crazy over a silly game, and I've quit it. I genuinely have. I've genuinely quit that game because it's not good for my health. So if you are having the same problem with this, then you need to quit. Let's have a look at a couple more. I think we should then move on. Yeah, someone did comment about my nonsense and blocking me. Fair play to them. Absolutely fine. So, you know, you can be you. I am not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and that is also perfectly fine. And I think that brings it to an end for this one. I think we'll get some more comments on this particular video, which will be great. I can add it to the blog post, what other people say on the video side of things. But I think that is it for this particular video. I don't want to be running on too long. Do let me know in the comments what you think. Do let me know in the comments what your gripes are about the game. And also, please, you know, I always like to balance it out. Let's have some positive comments about Evony as well. I've tried to do that within this video. I think it's a great game. I do think it caters for many different bands of spending, whether that's investment time-wise or investment money. And that is my penny's worth on this particular blog. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in another video very soon. Thanks for watching.